This is the West Tyne Light Network, part 2 of Sport in the West Tyne. We start with cricket. A couple of short results. Stocksfield lost to Blagden and Tynedale beat Anfield Plain to take top spot in their league. Now we turn to the Justsport West Tyne League. And I'll start with the scoreboard. In Division 1, Wylam vs Matfin Hall, Wylam won by 6 wickets. Haltwhistle vs Wylam, Wylam won by 8 wickets. Hayden Bridge vs Matfin Hall, Hayden Bridge won by 4 wickets. Allendale vs Stamfordham, Allendale won by 230 runs. Benwell Hill 311 vs Mitford, Benwell Hill won by 7 wickets. Stocksfield Seconds vs Hexham Leazers, Hexham Leazers won by 9 wickets. Humsarf vs Purrow, Humsarf won by 9 wickets. In the second division, Hexham Leazers second 11 versus Haltwhistle seconds, Hexham Leazers won by 5 wickets. Medhamsley versus Stocksfield thirds, Medhamsley won by 56 runs. Mitford seconds versus Humsarf seconds, Mitford won by 37 runs. Stocksfield fourths versus Allendale seconds, Stocksfield won by 3 wickets. And Wylam versus Newton, Newton won by 252 runs. And now the report. The headline, Hexham cruised to win over Purrow. Humsarf pulled no punches as they ripped through Purrow's attack to remove them for just 23. Putting the pressure on from the start, they refused to give anything away, as their struggling hosts slumped to a demoralising 9-wicket defeat. Matt Williamson ended with 4 wickets. Andy Crawford 3, Brother Ed 2 and Dickie Purvis the other, as they ensured Purrow did not make 20 overs. Purrow openers Jack Annick and Gavin Howden made the most impact, but neither made double figures as the away side ended with a whimper. With the loss of just Patrick McClendon, Humsarf breezed to victory as they passed the total in just the 8th over. Bottom club Stamfordham are struggling too, and they could post just 31 in reply to Allendale's whooping 261. In the game sponsored by the Golden Lion Hotel, the hosts, who made only 13 runs the last time the teams met, went hell for leather as Kendall Nolan, Hugo Bothma and Christopher Rutherford all scored half-centuries. A late flurry of runs from a typically aggressive Amit Sundar and a swashbuckling John Raglan pushed the score over 250. On a difficult day for a weakened Stamfordham team, Sohail Sadiq bowled an impressive spell, taking 5 wickets for 58 runs from 11 overs. The Stamfordham batsmen found the pace of Sundar difficult to deal with, and while Dave Swan took 2 cheap wickets, the Stamfordham were dismissed 230 runs short. There was a double delight for Wylam as they picked up 2 comfortable victories in their double-header with Haltwhistle and Matfin. With 62 runs to his name, ably assisted by an unbeaten 40 from opener Mark Wilson, James Teasdale spearheaded the charge in the 8-wicket success over Haltwhistle. While Mark Rowell took 3 wickets for Wylam, they were unable to pick up maximum points as Haltwhistle, guided by top scorer Michael Parker, dug in. But Wylam's batsmen were in top form and they saw the game out with 8 wickets intact. They managed to pick up just 10 points the following day too, as Matfin were similarly stubborn at the crease. Batting first, they made steady progress until Kiwis Charlie Robson and Mitch Ross were reunited and they started to up the run rate significantly. Both made it past 50 but were dismissed at important times. Ross fell to an excellent catch at the second attempt from Chris Japes, and Robson trapped LBW by standing captain Ben Duncan. Eddie Scott pushed things along, but some excellent fielding, none more so than from Matthew Lamb, who nearly decapitated himself on the side screen to stop a boundary, restricted Matfin to 188 for 7. James Teasdale couldn't replicate his match-winning innings, but Andy Patton and Wilson kept Wylam well ahead of the rate with numerous boundaries. Matfin managed to put the brakes on the scoring and the game was in the balance when Withicombe took 2 wickets in quick succession to leave Wylam 119 for 4. But Duncan put on a good stand with Wilson to see Wylam over the line, finishing the game with a couple of boundaries. Matt Finn went into the fixture on the back of a defeat to leaders Hayden Bridge, despite posting a competitive score of 202. In their best team batting performance of the season, again one of the most formidable bowling attacks in the league, they all made their mark, particularly Aaron Tiffin, who silenced his numerous batting critics with a stylish and hard-hitting 22. However, the Bridge had stylish opener Joe Barber to thank for chasing the score down, although the front-runners were thankful for dropped catches along the way. The league is threatening to become a two-horse race after Hexham Leazers defeated third-place Stocksfield seconds, with thanks to a classy unbeaten knock of 82 from Ben Griffiths. Leazers were chasing down 158 with youngster Sam Beadle, again knocking on the door of the first team with a fantastic performance, which saw him bowled just too short of his half-ton. But Stocksfield batted too well and kept one wicket intact to limit their rivals to 10 points, despite Griffiths and Paul Newton with an unbeaten 50 of his own guiding them to an easy victory. Benwell Hill Thirds defeated Mitford by 7 wickets at Stamfordham. The visitors restricted to 150 as David Archbold claimed 4 wickets of his 12 overs. Despite the early loss of Ben Hines and skipper David Ladd, the Hill eased home with 12 overs to spare as Vikram Narula, Dan Hunter and Mark Wright made sure there was to be no batting collapse. And now we move on to the second division. Subtitle Scattergood smashes 191 runs to keep Newton on top. Matt Scattergood was star of the show's Division 2 table toppers Newton hammered 9-man Wylam seconds by 252 runs. On his way to making a remarkable 191, he had 26 fours and 10 sixes to power his side to an imposing total of 322 before they declared at 36 overs. A shock had been on the cards when Liam Bell removed Chris Wilkie, but hope quickly faded as Scattergood, with good support from Rowley, took the game quickly and impressively away from the hosts. Only Richard Opie escaped any real punishment as he finished with 4 for 57, but Scattergood was eventually dismissed before the declaration came. Opie continued his good performance to Scott's top score with 24 when Wylam came to bat, along with Rob Helm, but the inevitable victory was sealed when Andy Goulding bowled Eddie Jackson. As the league takes a back seat before splitting into two, and for the 2020 games, Stocksfield Fourths recorded their first win of the season with victory over Allendale Seconds. Middle order stands were the feature of this game, Allendale getting off to a good start by the in-form Howard Robson, before Snaith and Cousin shared a partnership of 54 to repair the damage and help the side to 129. Allendale were favourites when Stocksfield slumped to 19 for 4, but a stand of 70 between Keele Zeraloo and Bethany Veal provided the backbone for a home win. Conceding their game against Newcastle Thirds proved costly for Wark as they dropped 3 places and out of the top half of the table. South Northumberland 1864 also conceded when they were scheduled to meet Belsay, but both teams will feature in the top half battle when it recommences. Mitford Seconds got off to a decent start against Humsoft Seconds, Captain Graham Potts' score of 26 followed by Amit Patel's useful 32. Humsoft bowlers managed to restrict them to 139, with Stephen Thompson and Michael Arnhem keeping things tight. Humsoft captain Paul Brearley responded positively, but only Mickey Turner reached double figures alongside him as away team fell away with Patel capping off a good all-round display. An early bowling change helped Hexham Leazers Seconds score victory over Haltwhistle Seconds. Michael Watts and Jerry Taylor bowling tightly as they gave precious little away. Taylor had the dangerous Lewis Swallow and Tom Nicholson caught, while Watts took out Ben Hampshire and Fleming with a mixture of overspin that produced a bit of bounce that disconcerted the batsmen. After 20 overs, Haltwhistle won 61 for 4, but Phil Sheldon and James Howard steadied the ship to help them post a final innings score of 158 all out. Confident of chasing down anything less than 180, Hexham's batsmen went to the crease and set about getting the win, as Raji Kingman and Matt Joyce laid down a solid foundation by scoring 5 and over for the first 10. Michael Watts' youthful exuberance saw him run out, going for another single, but Damon Watts continued his good form by partnering both Joyce Robb and Willis and they were within sight before Gary Thompson and Tony Crosby saw the game off. After Stocksfield's thirds opening bowlers Matthew Scandal and Johnny Tobin restricted Medhamsley to 41 for 4, Peter Thompson upped the momentum to guide his side to victory. Falling just short of his century, he saw Medhamsley to 156 runs, which proved out of reach for their guests. In their pursuit of the wickets and maximum points, the hosts conceded more runs than they hoped, with Andrew Newton putting together a good knock before falling within touching distance of his half-ton. Now to finish off, it was Hexham Leazers who beat Humshalf to take the Division 1 Knockout Cup, and in the Division 2 Knockout Cup, it was Hull who beat Newton to take that trophy too. And that completes part 2 of the West Tyne Light Network Sport.